Okay. There we go. Okay, I think we're good.
I think we're
And
good.
then I'll send that to everybody saying we have a little problems, but we got it now.
Thank you.
If y'all need anything else, just let me know.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so we're gonna do share screen. Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Good morning, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I had a different link and we were already on the move and started the class and then I got kicked out all of a sudden. So
That's all right.
I'm going to go back here and share screen. Now I can't, now my PowerPoints are not coming up right. There we go. Okay, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. Okay, so our session today is talking about buyers, and right now we're talking about how to find and win buyers. And we were just sharing, and you all can unmute yourselves and just be a part of the conversation as you see fit. We were just talking about different ways of finding buyers. We talked about, just like we did Monday, we talked about open houses. We talked about marketing and advertising. And I was reminding everyone to please remember you want to add 10 new people to your database today. And you want to reach out to 10 people that are already in your database. And we were talking about your vendors. Someone asked, well, what do you do if you have a credit repair specialist and you have a buyer that needs one? How do you know that you can trust that credit repair specialist? So do any of you all on the Zoom have any answers for that? We've already discussed it, but I'd like to hear your feedback. So let's say you have a buyer and they're needing some work on their credit and someone has introduced themselves to you as a credit repair specialist. How do you make that connection? I'll back it up. How do you even know that you can trust that that credit repair specialist with your client? Somebody, anybody? Okay, well, we'll move on. You're going to have to build a relationship with your vendors, just like you will have to build a relationship with your buyers and sellers. You want your buyers and sellers to be able to trust you as their agent, even though they've never met you before. The only way you're going to do that is by building relationships with them. And that's the same thing with your vendors. The only way you're going to know that you have a good vendor is to build a relationship with them, get to know what services and products they offer, and then find your buyers and sellers that are a good fit for that vendor and connect the two. Now, I'm gonna tell you now, just from my own experience, there will be vendors that you will try, and it may be somebody I refer you to. Like I have some lenders that I love dearly, and I use them on a regular basis. And I might tell you, Greg, try using my lender, Jennifer. She's great. And you send your buyer to Jennifer and your buyer's like, she sucked. It may not be a good fit for you. So you're gonna have to, you will have some of those trial and errors.
But can't you not single out one specific lender?
I don't, you can't, especially with lenders, you can't. But what I have found, I'm being recorded. What I have found though is when I do my vendor list, like when a buyer tells me they don't know who to use, I say, okay, well, I'm gonna send you 3 of my preferred lenders. I put the lender that I think is gonna be the best fit for them on the top of the list. Because 9 times out of 10, they're only gonna call the one. Some people may call all 3, but most of them are only gonna call
Or
one.
sometimes it's whoever answers the phone, because sometimes they're busy.
Yeah, yeah. And I know my son-in-law, my daughter, they were in Florida at the time. They just moved to California, but I sent them a referral for 3 agents and 3 Keller Williams agents in their area. Well, like you said, they called one, they didn't answer, they called the other said, oh, I'll call you back 24 hours. That one didn't call back. My son-in-law is like, oh no, because if that's the way you're treating me now, that's probably gonna be the way you're treating me throughout the transaction. If they called the other one, she was Johnny on the spot, she got their business,
Mhm.
So yeah. But some of this is gonna be through trial and error, and then some of it will just, you know, you'll take the referrals of some of the other agents, some of the top agents in the office, and run with it, and there's nothing wrong with that as well, so. Have any of you, these are for my Zoom people, because I've already gotten a response from those in the room. Have any of you started contacting people and letting them know you're in the business? Amanda, have you?
Yes, I have.
Great,
Just friends and family, but
great, that's where you start. That's the best place to start. And have you added your 10 people to your database?
I not for today, but yes, I have added others.
Okay. Destin?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Awesome. You've added your 10 for the past Monday, at least for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And Angela, have you added your 10 per day?
I have not, but I had a question on that. I stay in Florence, so everybody I know is in Florence. I'm in the midst of trying to relocate to Madison. So would I still use those people, even though I'm in Florence and they don't know anybody that's possibly moving to their area?
You can, are you going to be physically moving to Madison, or are you just trying to move your business reach to Madison?
Well, I'm planning to physically move to Madison
Okay.
since I'll be working there.
Right. I would still keep in touch with your Florence people. Florence is a different market, and I know for me, I have a buyer that's interested in finding some property in Florence. I don't know nothing about finding property in Florence, so I would love to use you as a referral.
Well, the
And
thing is with Keller Williams, so how would that, because I know our MLS does not cover Florence, so how would I be able to do that?
Well, that's true, because you wouldn't be able to have access anymore to the Florence.
Yeah, because I'm with Keller Williams Madison, so that's why I wanted to relocate from Florence, and just, live, since I'll be working there, live there.
Is there Williams in Florence?
Ma'am?
Is there a Keller Williams in Florence?
No, ma'am.
I didn't think so. I would still keep in touch with your people, because you can still always do a referral. So anybody that reaches out to you once you transfer to Madison, anybody that reaches out to you for a home in Florence, you can tell them, well, I don't work the Florence market anymore, but I'll be happy to refer you. And then I'm sure, do you know any agents in Florence?
I do. Yes, ma'am. I know several.
Yeah, so then you would just refer them to that, and you would get a referral fee.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, I'll go ahead and add those people and just do that.
And even like, again, in my situation, I don't know anything about Florence. So even though you'll be in Madison, you'll still be a good contact person for somebody like me to ask questions about Florence. And then you can refer your agents that you know in Florence, because I'm going to trust you, because I don't know anybody in Florence.
Okay.
Agents in Florence, right? You could refer them to me, and then I refer my clients to them, and then I'll get the referral fee from that too. So. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so make sure you all are adding to your database on a daily basis, so that you can be growing your business. And you'll be surprised, because you'll have your cousin, your aunt, uncle, somebody's going to reach out to you and say, I just referred somebody to you, or I got my friend and they want you to call them, and I still get those. So. Do you all have a routine, a morning routine?
I have 2 kids, so not really.
I'm in the same boat.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm in the same boat as her.
I do, sort of, kind of.
Would you want to share it?
Well, right now, I'm an early bird, so I go to bed early, and I wake up early on my own. I usually wake up, and it's really early. I usually wake up between 3 a.m. and 5, and in that time, I usually pray and go back to sleep. But what I plan to do, starting in the next few days, is After that, after I wake up, get up and exercise, and then by 8 o'clock, start my calling, and everything I need to do as far as work.
Okay, and the reason I asked about that is one of the things you need to do is have a routine. Because just like when you were working your 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever job you were working prior to real estate, or while you're still working your other job, you have a time that you have to clock in and time you clock out, and if you have a structured daily routine, you're going to be more focused. And I think we talked a little bit about time blocking, but it'll help you to be more focused. So I heard you say you have 2 kids. Oh, my days are gone. Thank you, Jesus. I got grandkids. But, but you may need, maybe if they're used to waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you may need to wake up at 6:30 just to give yourself time to wrap your head around your day that's facing you. Have a plan. Are your kids school age?
No, 1 and 6 months.
Oh.
And we have the car lot, so I try to schedule my days, but I might have to go run to auction and pick up a title or go to Copart. Like my days are really unpredictable right now.
And you know your day better than me, so I can't tell you, exactly what
But I
to
will
do.
try.
But yeah, because that's what I was gonna say, and you're gonna learn in Keller Williams, they said there is no try. But if you're gonna do it or not, and I say that lightly, but you'll learn more about that as you take some of the other trainings. They'll get further into how they explain that. But we don't want you to adopt the concept, I'll try, because then if it doesn't happen, if things come in the way, it's easier to let it go. So if you have some type of a set routine, like, okay, from 10 to 12 every day is real estate time, that's real estate time. If I have to go pick up a car title, it'll have to be before 10 or after 12 or something like that, unless it's something urgent, then of course. But if, there's always going to be some fluctuation and some changes that you may have to adjust in your schedule. But if you have a set time, then you're going to have to start training everybody in your life that this is your new routine, because they're not used to, Destin not being available to talk on the phone from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the morning. Usually I can call Destin and I can talk on the phone with her and chit chat and laugh and talk. But now Destin is saying, yeah, you can call me before 10 or you can call me after 12, but from 10 to 12, I'm focusing strictly on real estate. Now after 12, I may do some other real estate stuff, but I'm more free now to do the car dealership, and then have your time for car dealership. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is car dealership time, no real estate stuff. Structure your day. You're gonna, especially with children, you're really gonna need to structure some time that is designated specifically for the different businesses or the different activities that are in your life already that you don't want to change. Okay, so definitely you want to come up with a schedule. You want to do some scheduling. That's very, very critical. Anybody have any questions or input on that? Okay. Let's see. We talked about that already. We're not going to make calls, and that's the other thing, because this class is really designed to give you 20 to 30 minutes to just start making calls. We don't have that kind of time, so that's why I really want you all to commit to making your calls, at least talking to 10 people. So you may have to make 20 calls to reach 10 people, but I want you to talk to at least 10 people today to let them know that you're in the real estate business. Okay, so get your head in the game. We're going to be talking about finding buyers and how simple it is. Servicing buyers is inexpensive, and earning with buyers is quick. And the reason we talk about buyers before we start talking about sellers is because it's easier to find a buyer than it is a seller. However, understand that buyers take up more of your time than sellers do. But it's easier to find a buyer, especially now in this market with the interest rates as low as they are. It's easier to find a qualified buyer. So you convert your buyers to leads. So once you find somebody that says, I'm interested in buying, well, now you want to convert them to a lead. You're going to qualify them and then get them to sign the buyer's agency agreement with you. Okay, so let me see, we're going to go into this video if I can get it up. Did we exit out of it? Any comments or questions at this time while I get this video up?
Quick question while you're doing that.
Uh-huh.
Like right now, I have someone who wants a realtor, but they're looking for real estate. I mean, not real estate, for rental property. I have worked with a realtor before, like myself, because I was looking for somewhere to rent. But how do you profit off of rent and not like a closing transaction of a home?
You really don't make a profit off of rent, off of renters, and you spend a lot of time, sometimes even more time with renters than you do with buyers. However, my conversation with that renter would always be, so what are we going to do to prepare you to buy? When do you think you will be ready to buy? And help them find a rental if you can. But then keep in touch with them and nurture them to get them ready to buy in a year or
And
so.
just keep a good contact.
So keep them in your database, and you want to set them up on, and will excuse me. There are what am I trying to think? There are campaigns that you can set them up on, so that you're constantly in touch with them. So, and you're going to get thorough training. So I'm mentioning this stuff to you, so you'll kind of be familiar with it. You're going to get thorough training with that. After your Ignite class, you'll start some of the trainings. But you're going to set them up on a campaign where they're going to get some automatic emails, just the reminders. Some of the emails are not necessarily, hey, don't forget, I want you to buy. It's going to be more like, did you know, give some statistics and different things like that. And then you'll get a reminder that every once in a while you need to reach out and call them and just have a conversation with them. Just, hey, how are you doing? Checking to see how things are going. Nothing heavy, nothing real estate. So you'll get all of that kind of training over time. Trying to find this video. Where is the video? Oh, here it is.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pollack, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house. Or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And then I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that you know they're able to sell a home, or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with the appointment. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face-to-face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end, and they'll sign that contract, and then you can move forward. The last step is you sign them up And now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
All right. Okay, so anybody get anything, any ahas or any good ideas out of that presentation? Nobody?
Just to make sure to keep talking to everyone and remind them that you're in real estate so that when they are ready to buy or sell a house, they remember that you are the one that can help them.
Right, right. You want to stay top of mind, and the person that controls the conversation is always the person that's asking questions. So you don't want to be doing a lot of talking. You want to ask questions and draw information out of them. Just like Kimberly was talking about, you know, somebody's interested in finding a house to rent. Okay, well, what is it that, you know, that makes you want to rent? Have you thought about buying maybe? You know, do you know the interest rates are really low right now? Have you considered buying? You know, and then they'll go into why they don't want to buy right now. Some people just don't want to buy. Some people would rather not be responsible for cutting grass and everything, and that's fine. But you won't know that unless you're asking the right questions, okay? So you always want to be the one asking the questions. Does anybody know what our statistics are in this area?
Statistics
As far as the housing market, like days on market, average list price, sold price.
I just look on the MLS website.
You can. You can get that information from the MLS website. And does anybody know or want to take a stab at what they think it is?
Days on market is what, probably 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks, about 17 days. Days on market average is about 17 days, yeah. The average list price, the average sale price, I'm sorry, is about 285,000. And most houses are selling about, well, no, actually in this market, I would say it's probably higher now. But last I checked, houses were selling, the average was 97% of their list price. So if a house was listed for $100,000, it was selling for $97,000 on average. I think it's higher than that now because interest rates are so low and inventory is extremely low. So sellers are able to they're getting multiple offers, which is raising the price of their house. So a lot of people are getting above their listed price. So that's the market we're in now. It's kind of fun and not so much fun because we got so many buyers out there and not enough sellers. And so people are outbidding each other and it's like crazy. So some of the things that you're going to want to know about the areas that you're going to be working is you want to know about the school district, because that's the main thing people ask is, well, what are the schools like? Do you all know what your answer should be or would be or could be? What would your answer be if I was a buyer and I came to you and I asked you, what are the schools like in that area?
You can only really say the name of the school and tell them to do their own research. You can't be biased or say anything else.
Exactly. I don't know if everybody heard her, but she said you can tell them the names of the schools and what school districts, and then I still wouldn't even guarantee that that's the school that the house is in because they rezone so much. But you could tell them the names of the schools, but you cannot tell them, oh, that's a good school. That's one of the better schools. You can refer them to a website where they can do the research, let them know if that's really important to them. Then I encourage you to go ahead and do some research to find out if that's a school that you would want, to be living in. So, Those are the kind of things that you would tell them, but you will not, you cannot say, oh, that's one of the best schools. I send my kids there only because, you can't do that. Okay. What are some of the other things that you want to know about the neighborhoods, the areas that you're going to be working? What are some things that you would want to know about a house? If you were getting ready to buy a house, what are some of the things that you would want to know?
First, HOA.
Very good. That's a very good one. He said if there's an HOA, why is that important to some people to have one?
Sometimes you cannot build something on your property. You want to build an addition, or you want to paint your house so like a weird color. You just have to always get approval and pay your dues.
Right. With the HOA, there are restrictions. And so before you're buying, as an agent, you want to know whether the neighborhood has HOA. So when you show it to your buyer, you say, now there is an HOA, it's $150 a month. And if you're interested, then we will find out what the restrictions are for, with that HOA. But yeah, so it's very important for you to be on top of that kind of stuff. Okay. What else would you want to know if you were a buyer?
I really want to say this for them, like the engineering of the land. Like I wish we would have known before we moved into our house that there's like a flooded area, water comes up, you have no idea. The realtor doesn't tell you, the home builders don't tell you. You find out once you're living there.
Oh, wow.
So I would encourage a lot of people to just.
Are you in a flood zone, or just is something that happened?
It's just Limestone County engineered the neighborhood, and technically they shouldn't have because it used to be a creek or something. We're in a lawsuit right now, but anyway. But I just would encourage people to investigate that or get like multiple inspectors' opinions, because our inspector.
She was saying that the engineering of the land, she said that sometimes the house may be, it looks nice, the yard looks nice, but then when a heavy rain comes, it may flood out. So she said those kinds of things are good to know. So that's harder for you to know as the seller's agent unless the seller tells you, but there's some research that can be done. One of the things that you can do is you can find out if the house is located in a flood zone. And
sometimes it may not be though.
Right, and it may not be. My backyard floods a lot. I had my house built, so no, I don't think anybody knew, even the builder didn't know that it was going to happen until after I moved in. So my house floods a lot. My backyard floods a lot. I'm not in a flood zone. So those are things though that if you can research it, so that at least you could tell them, well, this house is in a flood zone, then you can let them know ahead of time. I need one or two of my Zoom people to have some input. What are some other things that if you were a buyer, you would want to know about? What would be important to you? How about how close it is to your job? What is the travel, how far is it gonna be from my job? How long will it take me in the morning? What is the commute time? And that may be something that they may ask you, or they may tell you, well, I work at so-and-so place, and I don't want to be too far from that. Well, how far is too far for them? So, I normally still send them houses that I think they might like and let them determine whether it's too far or not, but they will discuss that with you sometimes too. Okay, so we're going to move on. Okay, we're not going to research that, so we don't have the time for that. Qualifying and scheduling buyers for your consultation. So now you're armed with market knowledge. Your next step is to qualify buyers and schedule an appointment for the buyer consultation. Okay, why do you think it is so important to qualify a buyer? Amanda, Destin, or Angela, why do you think it's important to qualify a buyer? And what do we mean by qualifying a buyer?
When you qualify someone, does that mean you're getting a pre-approval letter?
That's part of it, yes. Why is that important? Do you know, Angela, why that's important? Or what
because if they have a pre-approval letter, you'll know about what you can work with them on finding the home, versus if they don't have it, you'll probably be wasting your time going out looking at homes, and then once they get one, they're looking at something that that's over their pre-approval.
Right. Before you start wasting time running around showing them houses, you want to know that they're qualified, you know? So if you get a pre-approval, then you know at least what their price point is. So now you're not showing them $300,000 when they've only been pre-approved for $200,000. The homes that you show them need to fall into that price point, into that area that their lender is approving them for. And then I ask them, now, are you comfortable with that amount? Because sometimes a lender may approve me for $350,000 and tell me my monthly payments will be $2,200. Well, I may not want that kind of a monthly payment. So then I may say, okay, well, I'm approved for $350,000, but I still want to stay in the $225,000 price point. Okay, so ask them, so I know your lender said you're approved for this much, but what amount are you comfortable with? Is that the amount you're comfortable with? And then that's when we start looking for houses. Okay. What are other reasons that you want to qualify them? Or how else would you qualify them? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because when you want to send in an offer, normally you have to attach the qualification letter for the seller to even take you seriously. They can have several offers on the table, but if they see that you're not qualified, so.
Right, she's saying that if you're presenting an offer, they want to see that your buyer is qualified. So you want that pre-approval to be able to send with your offer, and that's very true. And even before we get to the pre-approval, some of the things that you want to know to qualify your buyer, you're going to ask them questions such as, well, when do you need to move? If they're renting, they may have a lease. When is that lease up? If that lease is not up for another year, then now it may be too soon to start looking. They can start working on some things, like they can use this time to start saving towards the down payment and other things. But now it's too soon to start looking if their lease isn't up for a year. But you won't know that unless you're pre-qualifying them by asking questions. Okay, some of the other things is what's motivating them. Are they moving because of a job transfer? Are they moving because the house they're in is too small or too large? You know, those are the kinds of things you want to know. So those are questions that you're going to ask in order to qualify them to see if they're really truly ready to buy a house at this time. Let me see. On page 20, for those of you who have your book, on page 20, you'll see some of the things that we're talking about as far as qualifying the buyer. I don't want to get there yet. So we're talking about where it says number 1, qualify. There is a buyer lead sheet in your Ignite toolkit, and I'm hoping that everybody has their manual by now, but you also have the Ignite toolkit. If you go on mykw.kw.com and click on Ignite, there are student resources there for you. That's mykw.kw.com, and then click on Education, and then Ignite, and there are student resources under there. But the buyer lead sheet is going to help you to uncover if the buyer is able, ready, and willing to purchase a home. And we talked about qualifying them by asking questions. What is the price point? What is your motivation? Where do you want to live? What else do you want to know from your buyer? And it's on that list on page 20 under qualify. What else would you want to know from your buyer?
What do they want in the house and what do they need?
Right. What needs and wants do you have? We need 3 bedrooms. We want 4. We want a large open space, you know, or no, we don't like open floor plans. We prefer not to have an open floor plan. We need a backyard, a fenced backyard, because we have small children and a dog. You know, you're going to want to know their wants and needs. We talked about the timeline. How soon do they need? Or my rental lease is up in 30 days. Well, that doesn't give you really time to do what you need to do. So then you need to ask them, okay, well, what's going to happen after the 30 days if we haven't gotten you closed? Because you're not going to be able to get the agreement signed, find a house, and close within 30 days. So now you need to ask them, what is their game plan while we're looking for a house? What are your plans? You know, they can do month to month, or they may have to move in with their mother. You don't know, but you need to ask those questions as well. Okay, and you want to know about their availability. When are you available to see houses? They may only be available on weekends, or they may not be available on weekends and only available during the week in the evenings or in the mornings. You need to know that so that you know how to schedule your tours with them and how to schedule your time with them. Okay, then the next page is going to be your buyer lead sheet. And you're going to see the buyer consultation pre-qualification questions on this sheet. Those questions, you may not ask those questions in that order. You may not ask the questions in that order, but that again is just going to pre-qualify, help you to pre-qualify your buyers by following the buyer lead. I have a check sheet. Let me see if I have my check sheet. I have a checklist that I created for myself that helps me to kind of stay on task with my buyers and with my sellers. Before they go under contract, after they're under contract. I have one check sheet, and I know you can't see what's on here, and if you want, I can email you a copy of what I have. But I have buyer lead to agency agreement. This is my check sheet that I use when I first meet a buyer contact. And I try to make sure that I'm hitting all the points. So this reminds me that I want to find out if I pre-approve them, pre-qualify them. Then we start looking for homes. I check this off. Once we're under contract, once we submit an offer and we're under contract, then I have another check sheet that I use to help me stay on track, to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do. Because once you have them under contract with a buyer, you still have work to do. We have to get the home inspection scheduled. We have to make sure that that the houses, that the buyers starting to pack, and that they understand that at closing, they need to be out of the house by the day of closing. They need to know, so there's information you need to share with them. And so I have a check sheet to kind of keep me on track, because otherwise I may tend to forget just time to time. But these are some of the things that you want to go over with them. But that buyer lead sheet that's in your manual is very good, because again, those are the questions that are going to get them pre-qualified. And again, asks, are you renting or do you own now? Those are the kinds of things you need to know. Are you going to be paying cash? Or are you getting it financed? These are all things that you need to know about your buyer. We're not going to go into that. Okay, so then the second, what happened? The second point that we were talking about is, after you qualify your buyer, then you want to service your buyer. Does everybody on Zoom have the book? Angela, I know you didn't have it the last time. Have you had a chance to get yours?
Yes, I have it.
Okay. Destin, do you have your book?
I don't have one. I called the office asking if you guys had extra manuals, and when I talked to them, they said they were out and supposed to order more.
Okay.
I don't know if they got more yet, but no, I don't have one.
Okay, let me see if I can pull the manual up here so that at least you can, Amanda, you had yours, right?
I have a part of one that they copied off for me because they were out when I asked as well. But
I'm gonna try to pull it up and do a share screen. And do that on a shared screen. I think you'll get more out of the manual than you will the PowerPoint. Let me see. Bear with me. So this is where you're going to go to find your, you can go on MyKW and actually see the student book, but you can also download the toolkit as well. So you'll see some of the videos and everything. So, let's see, student resources. And, what am I doing? Instructor manual. Where is it? Okay, let's see if we can get to page 28. Okay. This is different from the one I have. This is different from the one I have. What is on your page 28? What page you on?
I was on 26. This is 28.
Get the appointment. That's what I have on mine. Get the appointment. That's not what's on this one. Okay, here we are. Oh, there it is. I was on the wrong page. Okay, so can you all see that? Those who are on Zoom?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so we're talking about getting the appointment. That's the next step, is getting the appointment. You have the A buyer. That means you're gonna get them in the car immediately. They're ready. They got the pre-approval. They already know what they want. You've pre-qualified them and they're ready to go. Then you have your B buyer. That's, you've identified what they need to happen. You're letting them know that they may have, they may need to get their credit worked on or whatever. And so that's your B buyer. You're gonna stay in touch with them. You're gonna put them on an 8x8 touch campaign, which means that's what I was telling you about this in Command. You're gonna send them out. It'll automatically send them emails, send them information just to keep in touch with them. And you're gonna reach out to them by phone periodically, just to stay in touch with them until they're ready to go. Then you have your C buyer. You're gonna manage them electronically by putting them possibly on like a 33 touch campaign. So that means over a year's time, you're gonna stay in touch with them because they're really not ready. Maybe their lease is not up for, they just signed a new lease and they've got 13 months before they can do anything. So they're really not ready now. You're gonna give them some pointers and some things they can do to start saving, put them on a 33 touch, and you're still gonna stay in touch with them. So that's what the 3 categories are. For scheduling the appointment, somebody wanna read this script for me? And one of my Zoom people, can you read it?
I can't see it.
You can't see it?
No,
You don't see it at all, or it's just not?
I don't see it at all. I see the PowerPoint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't see anything either.
Oh, okay. Let me see what's going on. Let me try this. Oh, there's way too much stuff open. Here we go. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, it's kind of small, but I can see it now.
I'm trying, y'all. I'm sorry. I am not.
The scroll bottom at the bottom of the screen. Might help.
That's still not helping you all?
That's good. I can see that.
Okay. Can somebody read that for me?
Schedule the appointment for the buyer consultation. The property at 123 Maple Street is listed at $249,000. Let's schedule an appointment to see if 123 Maple Street is a perfect home for you. Would today at 4 p.m. or Saturday at 10 a.m. be better for you? Great, let's meet at my office. So while we are out, you can also review other properties on the multiple listing service that you might be interested in if Maple Street isn't right for you. Does that work for you?
Great. So that's just a general script that you could use, and you can use this script. This script is available for you to use it. So learn it, master it, and use it. This is just one of the ways that you would schedule an appointment and start showing the homes. This is for your A buyer. This is for your buyer that's ready to go. Let's meet. Let's set up some appointments to go and view homes, and let's go and tour these homes. That's what that script is all about. If you have called a referral and the buyers have been willing to answer questions and stay on the phone with you, they have the potential to be a serious buyer. If you get a call, sometimes you may get a call because somebody has seen a house and it has a Keller Williams sign on it, and they may call the Keller Williams office. If you're here in the office working we call floor duty, you're gonna get the call, okay? If you are talking to them and holding conversation with them and they're willing to stay on the phone and hold conversation with you, 9 times out of 10, that's a good buyer. That's somebody who's serious about buying a house. It's a good buyer lead, I'm sorry. You want to get an appointment with them as quickly as you can. You know, anytime that you get somebody who seems like they're a serious buyer, you want to go ahead and try to get an appointment with them, but you don't want to like seem like you're pouncing on them, but you do want to go ahead and get an appointment with them. Angela, did you have something to say? I saw you.
Yes, I'm trying to find that first script she read. What page is that on?
That was on page 28, I believe it was.
Okay,
Is at the bottom of the page.
Okay, I don't have a page 28 in here.
What do you you only have odd number pages?
Yes, yes, I'm just not realizing it. Yes.
That happened to somebody Monday too.
Oh my God, yes.
I to get you a full one.
Okay, I start back by the office. I call the front desk and let her know, and I just go back by there this evening or tomorrow.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. So do you have 29? Can you see?
Yes, I can see 29.
Would you read that script for me? Do you mind?
Yes, I will. I'm going to read it out of my book. Hold on. Okay. Schedule the appointment for the buyer consultation. Mr. or Mrs. Miss Buyer, I'd like to invite you to come into my office so we can discuss what you are looking for in your next home and use my MLS to review properties. This way we can search for homes that fit your criteria. When we meet at my office, we can work together to make the most of your time. I can use the tools I have to find the best matches for you and check for any contingencies and other details that would not be apparent from a property visit alone. Are weekends or weekdays better for you?
Okay, so that's just a script that you can use for trying to set the appointment. Again, these are scripts that you can learn them, internalize them, master them, and then make them your own. And of course, you're going to, use it so that you're comfortable with it. You don't have to use it word for word, but learn it word for word. Okay. The safe option is to schedule buyer consultations in your office or a conference room in your market center. This positions you as the professional, allowing you to take charge and direct the process. Once you have a buyer in your office, you have a good chance of representing that individual. Also, you want to meet them in your office if it's somebody that just calls you from a sign because you don't know them from Adam's apple. You will have people that will call you and say, I'm sitting here in front of a house now and I'd like, it has your sign in front of it. I just want to know if you can meet me to show it to me. Well, I'd be happy to show it to you, but I'd like for you to meet me in the office first. So let's talk about, let's talk about some of the things that you're going to need and have a consultation before we start looking at houses. You don't know them from Adam's apple, and if you don't know who it is sitting in front of that house asking you to come in. So you want to always use safety precautions. If you feel like it's somebody that you want to go ahead and meet, then take somebody with you. Do whatever you can to protect yourself, but please don't put yourself out there and be randomly showing people houses that you're not familiar with. Okay, and then after you've done that, you've had the appointment, and you're having a buyer consultation. If somebody would read number 3 for me, at least the first couple of paragraphs.
The buyer consultation is a tremendous opportunity to pave the way to an effective and long-term relationship with buyers. During your meeting with the buyers, your goals are to delve into the needs, wants, and values of your buyers, showcase your services, and educate and set expectations for how you will work together. Walk away with the signed agreement, the buyer representation agreement. The buyer consultation is what customer experience is all about. You are devoting your full attention to your buyers, which shows that you care deeply about finding them the right home. You are bringing your complete skill set to the table, which demonstrates your ability to provide the kind of expertise and perspective that will enable them to make confident, informed decisions.
Thank you, thank you. This is the most critical piece to you, working with buyers. It really is. You want that buyer agreement because then that says that they're willing to allow you to solely represent them. You need to make sure that they understand that when they sign that agreement, that you are solely representing them. They're loyal to you, you're loyal to them, and so there's not going to be any other agents involved in the transaction from this point forward. Because some people will sign that agreement and then they'll go and they'll talk to other agents, and the next thing you know, I've had this happen. And even after you explain it to them, they still do what they're gonna do. But I've had it happen where, I got an agreement and I'm working with them, and then all of a sudden they're telling me, oh, I just bought a house, I just went under contract on such and such a house with another agent. So you want to be careful and always ask, do you have an agent that you're already working with? Always ask that. Amanda, you're highlighted. Did you have something, or you were waiting to read some more?
I don't know why I'm highlighted.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, this is your funnel here. So this is what happens, and this is why we say you want to get as many leads as you possibly can. Leads is the key to your business. Without leads, you have no appointments. Without appointments, you have no contracts. Without contracts, you don't have a transaction. Without a closing and transactions, you don't get paid and you have no business. So you want as many leads in your funnel as you possibly can get, because out of those leads, only a few are going to actually turn into appointments. Out of those appointments, everybody is not going to agree to sign an agreement with you. Everybody's not going to sign to buy or sell with you. So we're going to narrow it down even more. Then out of those agreements, only a few of them are actually going to get under contract. And everybody that gets under contract does not close. So now you're down to the narrow. So you want to build your database and your pipeline as much as possible. That's the same thing, pipeline, database, your funnel. Those are pretty much the same thing, but you want to get that as full as possible so that you have more people that you're working with. And then you want to focus on those that are your A's and then your B's. The A's and your B's are your priority. Okay, set the stage. Will somebody read that for me?
We only have one chance to make a great first impression. Take the time to show you appreciate them. Listen and clarify what they're looking for in a home and what they expect from a professional relationship.
Thank you. You have one time to make a first impression. One time. Don't feel like just because I'm a new agent that I don't have the experience. And so you do have the experience because you have an office here. I believe that we have close to 300, if not over 300 agents in this office alone. You have the experience of everybody in this office. Okay, so you may not have the personal experience, but you have the experience. You have access to the experience. The Keller Williams has over 13,000 agents, I believe, across the country. You have the experience of Keller Williams behind you. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have the experience. And so I've never, ever had anybody ask me, how long have you been doing this? I've never had that. And it's not because I present well. It's just because I try to look professional at all times. And if I don't have the answer for them, I let them know, you know what, I don't know, I don't want to mislead you. So let me do some research and let me get back with you on that. And then the first thing I do is I call one of the more experienced agents, ask them, or call Lisa and ask her and get back with the person over, make sure that you do get back with them, okay? This is just a sample of the buyer consultation brochure that you can use. You can download this and use it. You can edit it and tweak it, make it your own. So I just want to scroll through this so everybody can see this. Then you want to educate your buyers. Greg, do you mind reading? We're on page, what page is this?
34.
34, yes. Just that top paragraph.
Information is power. A buyer who knows what to expect is a confident buyer. And a confident buyer is much easier to work with than an anxious or uncertain buyer who will bend up of the objections and crucial points in the process. Set them up for success by explaining the major milestones they will encounter.
And that is so true. A confident buyer is a whole lot easier to work with than an anxious buyer or an uncertain buyer. An anxious buyer is one that's like, oh, I want to buy a house. I'm ready to buy a house. Let's do this. Let's do this. And they really haven't settled down to really decide what type of house they want. What they want and what they need, as Greg mentioned earlier. What do they want? What are their needs? That person will have you all over the place. They'll be sending you, they'll be out on Zillow, sending you houses that are $300,000, houses that are $100,000, $500,000 houses. They're going to be sending you 3,200 square foot homes, 1,500 square foot homes. They're just going to be all over the place. That's your anxious buyer. And then your uncertain buyer is going to be that one that they've told you what they want, they think. Then when every time you show them a house that has everything they want, you think it's the perfect home for them. No, I think I want to look some more. That's your uncertain buyer. They're going to have objections at every critical point throughout the process. So you want the confident buyer, and a confident buyer is the buyer that you have empowered with knowledge, and you've given them as much information as you possibly can. Okay, so this page here is one that's very good in there, the 6 steps to home buying. You can pull pages from this and just use the page. Like you may have a buyer that you just want to send this to because of a conversation that you've had with them. So this may be a page that you want to send to them, email it to them. But this is our home buying cover the mortgage and loan process. The brochure is going to cover that. It talks about the down payment, closing costs, other unexpected, like they got to pay for a home inspection. They need to be prepared to pay for the put the earnest money down and that kind of stuff. Those things you need to make sure that you're discussing. Then it talks about the next step is making an offer. Once they find a house that they want, they're going to make an offer. It explains the closing and so forth and so forth. So I encourage you to pull this up, look through it, go ahead and edit it and tweak it, create yourself one. And I would encourage you to print out a hard copy of it, maybe a couple of hard copies, but at least walk around with 1 or 2 to have with you, because you never know when you might run across somebody face to face. You hold a conversation with them, they may be interested, and you can go ahead and give them a copy at the end. So we're going to go on. We're going to go, let me get to the end because we need to go to the next chapter. Is there anybody that has any ahas from this session? Anybody? Any input? Anybody have anything they want to say? Okay. We are going to go to, and I just exited out of the whole thing. We are going to, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to go to session 8. So take about a 5-minute break while I find session 8, and then we will go on to session 8. Putting that up here. Oh, Gina gave us.
Miss April,
Yes.
that list that you have, that you said you would email to us, can you just make a copy of it and put it in my mailbox?
I sure can. I sure can. Do you know what your mailbox number is off the top?
73, I believe. Let me check my email and
And if not, I can ask Sarah.
okay. But I think it's 73. Let me just check it and be sure. Mm. Hold on 1 second. $73, I'm not. Can't find it in my email.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. I can get it from Sarah.
Okay. I think it's 73 though.
Yeah, I can get that from Sarah. It's no problem. We can do that. Okay, I'm going to pull up this video and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. Once I minimize it, I don't know where it disappears to. It's gone. I know it's in here somewhere still, but that's not it. Ooh. Oh, what happened to my screen share?
It is 73.
It's 73? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Make sure I do that. Okay, that's that one there. Okay, so I know what to do now. Okay. Let me find this video so we can watch it. That's not it. I am really sorry, y'all. In-person class for me is so much better. This technology stuff is it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not my comfort zone. Okay, getting ready to pull up a video for us to watch. I want to make sure that I have you all on screen share properly before I do start the video. Start share. Where'd my video go? Here we go. Okay, here we go. Can you all see a video opening up where it says funnel to favorite?
No.
No. What are you seeing, Amanda?
The chart for the power sessions.
I don't know why. Okay. Why is it not? Okay, I may have to stop sharing and start again. Okay, are you seeing the video now? Funnel to favorite?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's what I want.
Hi, my name is Sean Healy, and today I'm going to teach you how to create buyer urgency through the showing process. And the first step is setting expectations. We tell buyers that it is a seller's market, and what that means is the best homes go fast. The next area that we set expectations in is multiple offers. We tell our buyers there's going to be a lot of other buyers out there, and you may find yourself in a competitive situation. The third area that we set expectations on is condition. Many of the homes that they're going into are going to be move-in ready, but they need a little bit of work. The next step in the process we call the funnel. And essentially, we're trying to take the entire MLS and funnel it down so that at the end of the day, there can be only one house that kicks out the bottom. What I'd like you to do tonight, pick out the best 10 or 15 homes, and then tomorrow drive by those homes and check them out. I want you to pick out the best 3 or 4, and we'll go out and take a look at those homes. Next part is the actual showing process. We show the first house. You'll ask the buyer on a scale of 1 to 7, leaving out the 4, 7 being perfect, and there is no perfect home, and 1 being unlivable, where would you rate this home? Inevitably, the buyer will answer it's a 5. And the reason they give you a 5 is because they don't have anything else to compare it to on the very first home that they've gone to see. Then what you want to do is try and reinforce what's making it a 5 for you. And the next question you asked said, what are some of the things that you would do to move it more towards a 7 if you were to purchase it? You go on to the next house. Now you ask an alternative of choice question. Pretend you had to buy one of these 2 houses today. Which one would it be? The last one we saw or this one? They liked the first one better. Perfect. Go to the third house. The third house, you do the same thing. You say, all right, Gary, pretend there's only 2 homes on the market and you have to buy one today. Which one is it? The first one we saw or this one? And they say, this one. And you repeat that process over and over until you get to the last house. At the end of the day, you say, well, it looks like 123 Main Street was your favorite house. So right there from the house, we call the listing agent, find out if the home is still available. Let's go back to the office and get this property written up before somebody else gets it. My biggest aha out of this came when I was out with one of my first-time buyer families, and we drove up to the first house, and my buyer said, I don't even want to go in that one. What he ended up telling me at the end of that trip was, Sean, what I want you to do is print me out a list of every home that matches my criteria. I'm going to drive by those homes, and I'll tell you which ones I want to see. Aha. Hey, thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
All right. Anybody, any takeaways or anybody have any feedback on that? Anybody?
Make sure you do research, find out what they want, what they need, and go ahead and do research on homes before you start showing them homes. That way you don't waste the whole day on something they don't want.
Very good. Greg said to make sure that you do your research on the home. You've already asked them what their wants and needs are. You've already pre-qualified them. So now you should have a good idea of what they're looking for. So what you want to do is make sure now that you're tying in their needs and their wants with the homes that you're sending to them for them to look at. Why is that important? Anybody, why is that important? Ms. Ellis, thank you for joining. It's good to see you. Anybody?
So you won't waste time?
Right, Greg said you don't want to be wasting time, and you're not, and not just your time, but their time, because you're going to frustrate them. Well, I told you what I want, and you keep showing me these houses that have nothing compared to what I've asked for. So now you need to have a conversation. Are you showing them those houses because what they want is not in their price point? If not, then that's a conversation you need to have. But otherwise, you look like you're just really just trying to sell them what you want them to have and not what they want. They could easily get frustrated and end up finding another agent. You don't want that to happen. So please make sure that you're listening to your buyers. As you're showing them houses, you still want to be listening, because if I ask for an open floor plan house and you're showing me all these open floor plans and I walk into the house and I'm like, oh, this just feels so big. It just feels so, I don't know if I like it. Well, then now you need to go back. April, are you sure that it's an open house that you want? Because open houses are going to have a larger feel. You know, what was it about that house that made it feel too big for you? Something, you know, you need to ask questions so that you're really understanding what it is that they're wanting. Anybody else with any ahas or any takeaways from that video? Okay. I am going to try to pull the manual back up again so that those who don't have the manual can see it. Hold on 1 second, let me find a student resource. Manual. Okay, so we're going to go to page 9 in session 8. We'll go on page 9. In the first few pages, every session is always going to remind you about making your 10 calls, adding your 10 people to the database, and so forth. So page 9 are scripts for calling personal and professional service industries. These are your referral partners. These are your credit repair specialists. These are your lenders. These are your home inspectors that you want to get to know, because you need to have them under your belt for, and you're going to need electricians, you're going to need plumbers, you're going to need handyman, you're going to need all of those. So if you already know some people, this is the script that you want to start using now. These can be some of your 10 people. Okay. I'm wanting to, can somebody read this script for us? We're on page 9. I'm hoping that, let's see, I'm going to make this larger on the screen for those of you who are looking from home. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, what did I just do? Okay, does anybody want to read page 9 for us? The script on page 9 for us, please. Okay, I'll read. Hi, business owner. I'm April with Keller Williams Realty. I'm in the process of creating a list of preferred businesses and service providers to give to my clients. Since I frequently have clients that ask me for a good dentist or landscaper or whatever the business may be, I only want trusted companies to refer them to. Since I have had excellent service from you, would you and your business be interested in being included in my list of preferred vendors? And of course, they're going to say yes, most likely. Great. I like to establish these professional referral partnerships to help grow each other's businesses as well. So if I were to refer clients to you, would you be willing to refer your clients that are looking to buy or sell a home to me with the assurance that I will provide them with the highest level of customer service that you expect? Excellent. How about we confirm each other's contact information so that we can get started? And there you go. So you want to use that even if you have a uncle or somebody that's an electrician, you have somebody you know that home cleaning business, any of that, you're going to need these things under your belt. You're going to need these things under your belt. So you want to have a script that you're comfortable using with your partners. Can I get somebody to read this next script, the second one?
Creating referral partnerships with business owners you have not done business with. Hi, business owner. I'm Destin with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm in the process of creating a list of preferred business and service providers to give to my clients. Since I frequently have clients ask me for a good dentist, landscaper, or other business, I'm looking for a trusted company to refer them to. I've heard good things about your company. Would you and your business be interested in being included? If yes, continue. Great. I like to establish these professional referral partnerships to help grow each other's business as well. So if I were to refer clients to you, would you be willing to refer your clients that are looking to buy or sell a home to me with the assurance that I will provide them with the high level of customer service that you expect? If yes, continue. Excellent. How about we confirm each other's contact information so that we can get started?
Thank you, Destin. Okay, so again, these are just some scripts that you can be using starting today in order to start building your vendor preferred list. Okay, so let's get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. The journey from buyer consultation to offer is the most exciting and rewarding part of working with buyers. Finding the right home as quickly as possible is a win for the buyer and a win for you because you can work with as many buyers as possible. And it's also a win for the seller who's looking to sell their home. So we're going to go over some of these statistics, not all of them, but I just want to go over a few statistics and get your feedback. The typical home buyer searches for 10 weeks and views 10 homes. This is from NAR. The typical home buyer searches for 10 weeks and they view 10 homes before they make a decision. What's your feedback on that? What do you think about that? Is that good or bad? Yay or nay?
That's okay. I don't know. That's quite if you can narrow it down to 3, like in the video, that would be better. But just trying to narrow it down so you can save time.
Right. Because I mean, you know, it's really neither good nor bad. I mean, there really is no good or bad. But then you think about it, 10 weeks, that's a little over 2 months searching for a home. In this market, that's really kind of typical. It really is because the inventory is so low. But 10 weeks is a long time to spend with one buyer. So imagine if you have 5 buyers. Okay. Viewing 10 homes is typical. That's not bad. But if we can narrow that 10 weeks down, that would be wonderful. How do you know how we could possibly narrow it down without you having to rip and run and spend 10 weeks on the road showing houses to this one buyer?
Find out their wants and needs.
Finding out their wants and needs. Definitely.
I was going to say the same, or as we were talking about earlier, listening and finding out what they really want. You look at property. So.
Okay. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. Listening to their wants and their needs, listening to them. And again, as you're walking through those first few homes, again, you're still listening. Pay attention to their body language. Pay attention to what they're saying. Pay attention to their reaction to those first few homes. Probably by week 3 or 4, I may have another conversation with them, depending, again, because of the climate that we're in right now. 10 weeks is not unheard of because buyers are putting in offers and their offers are not being accepted because there's so many multiple offer situations right now. So 10 weeks may be normal, but I would be having a conversation after 3 weeks to make sure that we're both still on the same page. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that I still am clear on what they're looking for and that they're still clear on what they want and they need. So 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. You all do know that we have you have an app. Does everybody have the app on their phones? Miss Ellis, I'm sorry, if you would real quick unmute yourself and just pronounce your name for me. Introduce yourself so that I don't mispronounce your name. I'd appreciate it.
It's Ellis.
I'm sorry, say it again, you broke up.
Adicia.
Adicia. All right.
Yes,
Adicia.
ma'am.
Okay, while I have your attention, do you have the app on your phone?
No, ma'am. I'm new, so this is the first of everything for me.
Okay, great. How long have you when did you get your license?
Temporary license in the mail on the 15th of this month. So it's been about 2 weeks now.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. We're happy happy to have you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, there is
Thank
an
you.
app that you're going to get access to, and it'll be personal. You'll be able to personalize it to you and send it to your family and friends, buyer leads or whatever you come across, so that they'll be able to do a search through your app. Amanda, Destin, I think we lost somebody. Do you all have the app on your phone?
I do. Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and Amanda, you were getting ready to say something earlier?
I just said, yes, I have it as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you was trying to say something earlier. I thought I interrupted you. I'm sorry. So that app is very, very critical because you can send that app and try to divert your people from going to Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia and the other websites that they normally like to go to search for homes. They can use your app and they'll get the same information, but it'll be branded to you, and you'll get reports of the things that they mark as their favorites or whatever. So it's a good tool. It's a very good marketing tool. We're going to skip down. See, more than 50% of buyers reported that they find the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. More than 50% of buyers reported that finding the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. What do you think about that? If anything. Okay. No feedback? Okay. 9% purchased a new home due to a job-related relocation or move, and 8% bought for the desire to be in a better area or a change in family situation. With the pandemic and so many people working from home and the kids are in school virtually, a lot of people are buying homes to just give themselves more space and give their children more space, to have an office to work out, or more space for their kids to be able to do their school work separate from their play areas and stuff. So working with buyers. In order to have a successful home search process, focus on these 3 steps. You want to find the right home, show qualified homes, and bring your buyers to a decision. Okay. Again, if I can get a reader, under find homes, underneath the gray box, I'll read that the 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. Can somebody read that first paragraph?
There is no doubt your buyers will be searching the internet on their own. It's your job to help them identify which homes they are actually worth the time to see.
Exactly. They're going to be searching. They're going to be searching, and they're going to start sending you homes that they're interested in. And again, if you've pre-qualified them, you'll know whether those homes are truly a good fit or not. But know that when they search for these homes, like on Zillow and Trulia, sometimes the information is not current. So they'll send, I had a buyer that sent me, she was constantly sending me homes, and every time she sent me homes, I'd do the research. I said, that's already under contract. That one's already been sold. She said, what's going on? That's download my app, you know, and I kept pushing her. She finally downloaded my app and stopped using the online searches because they're not as up to date as the information in our MLS and what's on our apps. So you want to, so you want to make sure that they're actually sending you homes that meet their criteria. Again, otherwise you need to have a conversation with them. Your thorough buyer consultation helps establish exactly what the buyers are looking for in their dream home. Leverage that criteria using online property search sites to find several homes for your buyers to view. So as you're finding homes for them, remind them of what their criteria is, so that even if they're out there looking on their own, that they'll try to remember to stay within the criteria that you that they established with you. Or again, you need to have another conversation with them again. Okay, so we're gonna go. Okay, so qualifying properties. No, we're not gonna be able to do that activity, I'm sorry. Okay, so preparing to show homes, number 2, showing homes. Organization and the ability to guide your buyers toward a decision will make your home showing process successful. So in order to prepare to show homes, let's go over these steps real quick. I just want to go over it real quick. If somebody will read through the first 5 for me. Can you all see it on Zoom? Okay, look at the showing instructions on the MLS to schedule the show times. Always call the listing agent to see if the home is available and if there have been any offers. Set the home tour date with your buyer with a specific start and end time. Try to give a 24-hour notice if possible. And check with your buyer to make sure they have earnest money ready if necessary. That is very critical, that you want to make sure that they have the earnest money. That's something that you're going to consult with them during your consultation. You're going to go over that with them. You want to try to give the seller of the property, you want to see at least 24-hour notice if at all possible. Sometimes that's not possible. But if it is possible, you want to go ahead and give 24-hour notice before, when you schedule your appointment. Make sure that when you're showing homes, if you're showing like 5 or 6 homes in one day with one buyer, set a start and an end time for that too. You don't want your buyer to tie up your whole day where your schedule gets thrown off. Again, we're time blocking. So now you have a schedule. You don't want that thrown off. So you want to spend as much time with them. You want to, you want to value your time with them, but you want to make sure that you're not wasting time with them. So just like we saw in the video earlier, where he said, okay, now out of the first 2 homes that we just saw, which one of these do you like? Okay, you like number 2, so we'll eliminate number 1. Now, out of the next one, which one do you like, number 2 or number 3? And find a way to, narrow things down real quick. Can I get somebody to read the next 5 bullet points?
Review the homes to eliminate any that do not meet their criteria. Prepare and educate yourself about the homes and demographics. Be the source of the information. Determine which route to take, always showing the best homes first. Average to meet with your buyer at the office or in front of the first home you will be toured. Print out 2 detailed MLS information sheets for each property you plan to tour with your buyer.
Thank you. So those are some key points too. You want to preview the home and eliminate anything that does not meet the criteria. Educate yourself on the homes and about the demographics of the home. Are there train tracks that run near the neighborhood? Is it near an airplane, zone? Is there going to be a lot of planes flying overhead? You want to know about the demographics of the area, of the neighborhood. You want to know, again, is there an HOA? You want to know all of these things because your buyer is going to ask you. Some of the other things that is good to know, and if it's not in the listing, then you can call the agent. But some of the other things that's good to know is the age of the HVAC, the age of the roof. Those are 2 things that people, almost all buyers, will ask you. How old is the roof? How old is the HVAC? Those are 2 things because they want to know if they buy it, are they going to have to replace it soon? Those are 2 major purchases and they want to know about those up front. Okay. And then the last 2 bullet points, place the MLS information sheets in the order you will tour the properties and include a home tour checklist for each one so that the buyer can record their own comments. Make 1 set for yourself and 1 for the buyer. And then make a copy of the 5 must-haves sheet that was filled out during your buyer consultation. So they're going to share with you during your consultation their 5 must-haves or however you do your consultation, but somehow you're going to capture that information of their must-haves. Carry that with you so that when it seems like they're veering off course, you have that with you. You're going to include a copy in their packet and include a copy in your packet, so that you can try to keep them honed in on the things that were important to them. And if for any reason they start to veer, then again, it's time for a conversation, okay? Thank you so much. You're gonna help them view the homes. We're not gonna get into that. Here's a home tour checklist. And again, this is in your material, so you can make copies of this if you want to and use it exactly as is, or you can create your own similar to this. And we talked about the video, talked about having the buyer, have the buyers rank the houses you've shown them in order of 1 to 5. Which one is their favorite? You can eliminate the ones that they're like, definitely not, you know, and that helps you to narrow it down. If you do that every showing, then you should be able to find them a home within the first 2 or 3 times you're out there looking. Okay, home touring etiquette. This is very important. And you're going to get all of this information again in some of your other trainings. But as a professional agent, it's important that you observe basic etiquette when you're showing other people's properties. You want to, of course, leave the home as you found it. If you walk in and the lights are on, when you leave the lights on. If when you get there, the lights are off, you want to turn on all the lights when you walk in, but make sure that you turn off all the lights when you leave. Okay, you want to leave the property the same way you found it. Do not adjust the heat and the AC. I don't recommend that you ever even adjust that. Be sure to look for and observe all touring notes in the MLS or given by the listing agent. Has everybody seen a copy of the MLS report? Okay, I'm going to try to pull one up and show it on I'll share a screen if I have a chance before we go into our next session. Be mindful of pets when opening exterior doors. Hopefully, if there are pets in the yard, any loose pets in the yard or in the house, hopefully the agent has put that in the MLS remarks so that you'll know that. But just be mindful if there are pets that you're kind of making sure that they don't escape. Leave your business card on the counter so that they know that that you did show up for the appointment. Okay. We're not going to do the activity. I really hate that we don't have time to do the activity. Okay. These 10 points are things that you need to know about. So we want to go over them. Some of the most common buying signals that you need to be aware of. 1 through 5. I need one person for 1 through 5, and then somebody else will read 6 through 10 for me. Ready, go.
1, body language and facial expressions, smiling, brightening up. Number 2, asking about a seller's motivations. Number 3, asking detailed questions such as about the seller's disclosure or taxes. Number 4, visualizing furniture placement. Number 5, compare.
I don't know what happened, but thank you. Comparing other houses to it. Thank you. So those are some of the things that you're going to look for. What's their body language? We talked about that earlier. Watching their body language, listening to different things that they may say, their facial expressions. Are they like already visualizing, oh man, we could put our sofa over there and we can make this room the playroom? Those are cues as to whether they're really starting to connect with the house or not. Okay. 6 through 10. Somebody ready, go.
Discussing new paint or carpet. 7, sitting down in the house. 8, becoming protective, not wanting other buyers to see the property. 9, asking for a second showing. 10, raising objections.
Okay, so those are things, again, if they make themselves comfortable, they're sitting down and they're lingering longer than normal. You know, you've been to 3, 4 houses with them and they're in and out. And in this house, they're kind of lingering and they went out in the backyard and they come back in the house and they're walking back through the house a second time, or they're asking you for a second showing. Those are signs that they're really interested. Raising objections, you know, those are signs that maybe that's not the house for them. So you want to be looking out for these kinds of signs. One of the objections, we love it, but we haven't seen enough properties yet. Now, this is a sign of somebody who's like not really sure, and maybe it might be time for another conversation, but this is a script that you can use to kind of see where their head is really at, making sure their head is in the game. Would somebody like to read this handler for me? It's an objection handler. Okay, so we love it, but we haven't seen enough properties yet. Go ahead, Amanda.
Mr. Ms. Buyer, my role as your buyer specialist, and the reason why we met for a consultation is to sort through the homes that meet your criteria and only show you the best available homes, the cream of the crop. And the best homes on the market go fast, usually in 1, maybe 2 days. If you love this home, chances are someone else does too. Are you willing to lose the perfect home for you, your wow home, the one you will absolutely love, just so you can see everything out there?
And that's true. Thank you, Amanda. And that's very true, because they will lose the opportunity. And then for you to be able to find them another gem like that for them, is gonna be that much harder, because the houses are moving so fast. So if they're like, oh man, we really love this home, but we want to see more, you need to have some type of a script to try to find out why is it that they want to see more, and see if you can get them to go ahead and put in an offer on the one that they just fell in love with. Okay. You're going to bring your buyers to a decision. Remember, you are not a tour guide with a lockbox key. Your job, once you have helped them find the right home, is to facilitate the decision-making process for your buyers, so that they can make an offer and get the home that they want before someone else does. This is an important milestone in the home buying process. You are not a tour guide. You have worked long and hard to get your license. You are not a tour guide. And so you want to make sure that if they find a home that you see that they have fallen in love with, and that they've really connected with, you want to talk to them about trying to make an offer on that house. That's your job, is to guide them into that process. I want you all to get familiar with page 25, read over that, the decision-making process. These are the steps you want them to rank the property. Ask if they want to purchase the home. You want them to rank the top 2 homes. What is their highest scoring home if you're using the scoring system? And then you want to take the MLS sheet, the top ranking home, flip it over, and have, this is just a process that you can use to help them to make that decision. And we've already watched the create buyer urgency. So pretty much this is what we need to get out of chapter 8. Sorry, oh, excuse me. You just want to make sure that you're getting them, again, into the process of making a decision. Once you find them that perfect home for them, you want to get them, and remind them there's never going to be a home that you like 100%. There's not going to be a home that has 100% of everything that the person is asking for. And so they have to be able to figure out what things are they willing to let go of. Well, I like this home, but it doesn't have a fence. Well, how important is that fence to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? How important is that fence to you? Is the fence something that you would be willing to purchase and put up on your own eventually? Is it something that you just have to have right now? Okay, if I find you a house with a fence, then what are you willing to sacrifice? Because there's not going to be a house that has 100% of everything that you're looking for. Okay. Okay. So again, we want you to remember about your 10. This is your daily 10. So we're going to take another quick break, only because I want to try to pull up an MLS listing. So if you all would just give me a few minutes to try to pull up an MLS listing. If you want to take a break and get some water or something. Does everybody have access to the MLS? Is there anybody that does not have access to the MLS other than Adicia?
I don't.
Okay.
I do not either.
Okay. Well, this is how, once you get access to it, this is how you're going to log in. They'll assign you a password. They assign you a password. They assign you a username, and then you create a password. Your username is usually going to be the first initial of your last name, and then the first initial of your first name, and then some numbers. And then this is what it looks like out here. Can you all see that? I'm sorry,
I can see it.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Good. So this is where you're going to go. This is the Valley MLS. We're going to search residential. I'm going to go ahead and pull up one of my listings. or my listing. Here we go. Okay, this is what it'll look like. You will click on the MLS number and it will open up all of this information for you. So you'll see right now this one is in pending status, means it's under contract. This was the list price. Because we have not closed yet, it will not show you the sold price, but once it closes, it will have the close date, who the purchaser was, and the amount that they purchased, the actual purchased it for, will all be down here. So these are your regular remarks that everybody can see. When a buyer is out there looking online, this is the information that they see. They welcome home, you'll appreciate this beautiful move-in ready home, all of that they see. Can you all see where I have the mouse right now? This little box right under where it says second level square feet. This little paragraph right here is for agent information only. This is information that only you as an agent will be able to see. The public will not see this information. This area, you really want to read it before you show a house. This will tell you if there's an alarm. Sometimes they'll put the alarm code in here. If you go to a house that has an alarm and you haven't read this and you open up the house and the alarm goes off, that now we got the police coming out, somebody's being called home from work. It has happened to me. So that's how I know. How do I know? Because it happened to me. So yeah, so you want to make sure that you're reading all of this information, so that anything that pertains to you as the agent, you will already know about. Okay. So, okay, that's that. Okay, so now we're going to go to our final session, lesson number 9 for the day. And I appreciate it because we're kind of staying on task. And some things I wanted to go over that we didn't go over, but we'll be okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if we have enough time, but I think it was session 7, like the actual process of closing on a home, like after they get the loan goes into underwriting, and just talking about inspections and negotiations and what if, hiccups happen, stuff like that.
Okay, we can go over that. I'll make sure and leave time before the end of the class to do that. Yep. Okay, so we're going to chapter 9, and then we're going to go back to chapter 7. Making and receiving offers. Aim for offers that win. Now that is the key. An offer that's going to win, because we're in such a multiple offer situation, like my listing that I just showed you all, we were active, we got 5 offers, we accepted one, funding didn't go through. So we went back active, and in 24 hours, we had another 5 offers. That's just how quickly houses are going. So you want to make sure that you're writing up the best offer that you can for your buyer and explain to them, because some buyers will have FHA loans or certain loans and they don't have the funds to pay their own closing costs. So they're going to be asking the seller to assist with closing, and that's normal. That happens. That happens quite frequently around here. But just let your buyer know that if they're going to be asking for closing costs, they need to be giving the seller something, especially in this market. So what are they giving the seller? What's the best thing that they can give the seller? What's the best thing that they can give the seller? More money. Mm-hmm. So if I have my house listed at 125 and you want me to assist you with your closing costs, then maybe you should offer 130 and then ask for it. But now you as the agent, then will have to make sure that the house might appraise for that much. So you don't want them offering more than what you think it would appraise for. But that's just a negotiating tool. I'm asking you to pay these fees for me. So the least I can do is offer you more towards, a higher price point. Okay, higher purchase price. Okay. What are some of the things you think might be helpful to make a stronger offer?
Earnest money.
Earnest money, exactly. Earnest money. You $500 earnest money, $1,000 earnest money. For that $150,000 listing that we have, we had a cash buyer that offered $10,000 earnest money. That's how bad he wanted it. He's not the one that we chose, but because his contingencies were too many. But you know, and that's the other thing, contingencies, and you're gonna learn more about it, but I'll just briefly take contingencies are just those things that you're attaching to your offer. Like it has to pass inspection. I have to sell my house first. What are some other contingencies? It can't be in a flood zone. You know, these are contingencies that you can put in your buyer's offer. This is what the buyer is saying. I'm only going to buy the house if it's not in a flood zone, if it passes the inspection, if it appraises for the purchase price, and those kinds of things. The more contingencies you have, the weaker your offer may be, and especially in a market like this. So we want to have as few contingencies as possible, but yet you still want to make sure that you're representing your buyer in such a way that they're not getting a bad deal. Okay, so there's a thin line, but these are just some of the things to keep in mind. You're not going to remember it all. Remember, I told you on Monday, you're going to get a bunch of information. You will get a plethora of information, but it's like a buffet. Take what you can use right now and worry about the rest later, because trainings are ongoing here at Keller Williams, especially in our office. It's ongoing training. So what you forget today, trust me, it will be offered again later. You can repeat Ignite. You can take Ignite again and again. It's not a one and done deal. So just want to throw that out there. So don't get overwhelmed with the information. I'll be like, I have no idea what she's talking about, because right now your minds are probably like, I'm ready for this to be over. What is she talking about? It will be offered again. So get your head in the game. The offer is the process of moving from a buyer or seller agreement to a sales contract. Okay. Arriving at the offer stage is an exciting and rewarding time for you and your client. If you represent the buyer, your searching has paid off and your client has finally found their new home. If you represent the seller, you diligently marketed and prepared their property for sale and have received an offer from a prospective buyer. This is the point where, for the first time, the buyer and seller are coming together. This is a major financial decision and can be a highly emotional experience for them both. Your goal is to bring them together and arrive at a sales contract in which both parties win. And that's what I was just talking about with the contingencies. You don't want your buyer asking for so much that it turns the seller off. Okay, you don't want your buyer asking for them to pay the closing costs and asking for them to leave the refrigerator and asking for all the drapes and asking for, you know, you want them to be respectful of the other person and try to make it a win-win situation for both parties. As with every phase in the process, you need to work quickly and carefully during the offer process, and this session will prepare you to do just that. Okay, so now we're at this contract stage. So this person has come through the funnel and we're getting ready to drop down into the closing day. Somebody read that first paragraph for me under Make It Happen.
When a buyer found the home they want to purchase and the seller is looking forward to concluding the sale of their property, the fun and magic begins. Whether you are representing the buyer or the seller, this is an opportunity for you to shine as a real estate professional. The overall offer process for both parties is diagrammed below.
Okay, so your buyer makes an offer. The seller responds to the offer in one of three ways. The seller can either counter the offer, they can accept the offer, or they can reject the offer. Anybody want to explain to you what the counter offer is? Do you know what that means?
Where you make a offer, if they don't like the offer, they come back with their own number.
Right. So it's a negotiation process. You've made an offer. They're not saying, no, we're not going to accept your offer. They're saying, well, we kind of like your offer, but we'd like you to add this or eliminate that. So now you're in the negotiation phase. So that's what a counter offer is. What happens when they accept your offer? If they accept your offer, then that's it. It's a done deal. You're under contract and you're preparing, to go to closing, which there's some other steps you'll take for that too. Like the home inspection, the appraisal, and all of that still has to be done. Now, and then there's the rejection of the offer. What does that mean?
Sometimes it can mean that they've accepted another offer, or they just don't like your offer, and you have to come back with a better one.
Right. So he said that sometimes it means that it's not that they didn't like yours, but they just accepted a better one. And sometimes it just means that they just didn't like yours at all. And that happens. You have people that will lowball. You will have buyers that will try to lowball just because that's what they feel they're supposed to do. And that's when it comes, you're responsible for guiding them and counseling them. Okay. So, and remember, when you get to this phase, because even though you're not representing the seller, remember that the seller's emotions are tied into this transaction as well. So the seller is just as maybe anxious, fearful, whatever the case may be, but they have their own emotions because they're letting go a home that maybe their children grew up in, and now their children are all grown and gone and they're downsizing or whatever the case may be. So they, so you want your buyer to be mindful of the seller's feelings too. Okay, and that's why we want to do as best we can to make it a win-win situation for both parties. Okay, so once your buyer finds the property they want, there are 3 actions you're going to need to take. Prepare to write the offer. You're going to write the offer, and then you'll present the offer to the listing agent. Okay. Checklist for preparing an offer. Real quick, anybody want to start reading for me?
Obtain the buyer's pre-approval letter from their lender. The client's offer will be more attractive to the seller if a pre-approval letter is submitted at the same time.
Very good. And we talked about this. We talked about the importance of a pre-approval letter. This is something that your buyers should have before you start showing them homes. Even if you agree to show them 1 or 2 homes before they get that in their hand, what I do is I send them my preferred lenders. I say, okay, here's 3 lenders that my buyers have used successfully, they've worked well with. You can call one of these or call one of your own. And then maybe 1 or 2 days later, I'll follow up with them. Have you reached out to a lender? No, but I see a house that I want to see. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and show you this house, but I need you to get pre-approved before we go see anymore. I've done that. It's not a habit, but I have done that before. But you want them to get pre-approved. Who wants to read the next line for me?
Produce a comparative market analysis, CMA, to educate and inform your buyers.
Okay, so once they've accepted an offer, once they've found a house that they like and you're writing up an offer, you want to do a market analysis. You want to make sure that your buyer is not offering more than what the market says the house is worth. Okay, because again, an appraiser is going to come and the lender is going to send out an appraiser. The appraiser is appointed by the lender, is usually selected by the lender. The lender is going to send out an appraiser. And if that house doesn't appraise for the amount that your buyer has offered, then the lender is not going to loan them the amount that they've offered. They're going to loan them up to the amount of the appraised amount. Okay, so you want to do a market analysis so that you can determine your figures may be a little different than the appraisers, but you still want to do that just as a safeguard. Okay, next, review the tax records for information about pricing history. Okay, so you can pull the tax records up on Madison County Courthouse website. There is a link in the MLS, I believe. Yeah, there's a link right here where you can click on and pull up the taxes that way. but you want to pull up tax history and in the, did I close out my listing? No, I didn't. Right here where it says H, right next to in the listing, if you click on that, that'll give you some history as well about the pricing of that home. Okay, so there's various ways you can get the history on the home. Who wants to read the next one for me? Ensure.
Ensure the property is still available. What's the name?
Go ahead, I think she cut off. Go ahead.
Ensure the property is still available before spending any time preparing an offer. Even if your MLS indicates the listing is active, contact the listing agent to let them know that your client is considering making an offer. If it's off the market, let your buyer know immediately and promptly begin the search for another home.
Okay, so you want to make sure that the property is still available. Just because the MLS still says active, the listing agent may not have had a chance to go in and change it. It may have just gone under contract. You know, so contact the listing agent and just say, hey, I have a buyer that's interested in putting in an offer at such and such an address. Is that property still available? Okay, very simple conversation to have. When speaking with the listing agent, build rapport and gather as much information about the seller and the property as you can. Okay. And we'll go through this. Ask questions of the listing agent to discover what's important to the seller. Inquire about the activity on the property, obtain a seller's disclosure statement, and find out if there are or have been other offers. That's important to you because you want to know if you're going into a multiple buyer situation, multiple offer situation, you want to know that up front. Because my thing is I always try to present my buyer's strongest offer anyway, but sometimes that knowing that there are other offers already out there will help you to determine whether you want to counsel your buyer to maybe not ask for some of the things they're asking for, or maybe they can come up with half of their own closing costs or whatever the case may be. So knowing that there are multiple offers is going to help you in writing up a strong offer for your buyer. Okay, number 2, you're going to write the offer. Keep these guidelines in mind and use the checklist on the previous page as you write the offer. Okay, ensure that your buyer knows that all checks are written at the same time the offer is written and they're deposited upon acceptance. So your buyer needs to know that that earnest money check, they need to provide you with a check for the earnest money. They give that to you, made out payable to Keller Williams. They'll give that to you, and they need to know that once that offer is accepted and we're under contract, that check will be deposited. So they need to make sure the funds to cover that check are in their bank account. Okay. In my transactions, obtain the appropriate offer to purchase forms for your area. Bring your laptop or tablet with you when you meet with your client to review the offer and respond online. When your buyer makes an offer, they are essentially selling themselves to the homeowner. A cover letter makes your client's offer stand out and serves the following purposes. It summarizes the offer and it humanizes the offer. There are some people that are for the personal letter, some people that are against the personal letter. I personally have never done one. I have had a listing where I received one. It didn't work. But if anything that's presented to you as if you're representing the seller, anything that's presented to you, you have to present to the seller. So if your buyer wants to write a letter, let them write the letter. Make sure that you present it with your offer. Anybody have any questions so far? Any ahas or anything you want to add to?
Is it the buyer's agent responsibility or the seller agent responsibility to check on liens on the home?
Both. The seller should know whether there are any liens on the home before they list it, but you representing your buyer, you want to check too, just to make sure that on your end, just in case the listing agent missed it, you can check too to see if there are any liens. But just know that that's part of the closing process.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the closing process is the title company or the closing attorney company is going to check all of that and verify all of that prior to closing. And if anything comes up, they will immediately notify both agents, the seller and the buyer's agent. Okay. Okay, here's your checklist for writing an offer. You want to Consult with your buyer to arrive at the most logical offering based on the CMA, so the price and the terms. You want to review the seller's disclosure. When in our area, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I might need to look into this, but we don't usually get a seller's disclosure until after the offer has been accepted from the closing title company, unless I'm misunderstanding the seller's disclosure, but I'll look into that. Conveyances, what comes with the home, what transfers with the home, and what does not. Normally, in the state of Alabama, anything that is attached to that house stays, such as the dishwasher, if the dishwasher is attached, the stove, a microwave if it's attached. Refrigerators are not considered attached and they do not have to convey. Anytime you're writing up an offer for your buyer, you want to make sure that if they want the refrigerator, that you put it in your offer. Refrigerator to convey at no additional value. And again, you'll get that in more detail in some of your other training. But anything that's typically attached stays, and anything that's movable can go with the seller at the seller's discretion. Earnest money, the buyer makes a deposit to the seller to show good faith. Time for seller acceptance, be sure to specify the time for acceptance. If you want the seller, if you want a response back in 48 hours, put that in there. The seller to respond within 48 hours or by, January 30th midnight or whatever the case may be. Typically, if that's not in there, the time, I believe, is 3 days. They have 3 days to respond if there's not a specified time frame in there. Okay, and we talked about the financing terms, the buyer pre-approval letter, and the loan approval. So all of that we've talked about. And specify the closing date. Your buyer may need 45 days or 60 days to close because they may have a lease still that they're trying to get out of, or some other issue, or maybe they need to another month to save up their closing costs or whatever. So you can specify. Now normally it's 30 to 45 days, but if your buyer wants to close quicker, cash buyers sometimes close in 2 weeks. So you want to specify the closing date. Home warranty, if a home warranty is going to be, if they're going to want a home warranty, then you need to put that in there as well. And again, keep in mind the stronger offers are the ones that do not have a whole lot of contingencies, and that's what these are considered your contingencies. Okay, so we're going to read through one of these scripts. When the buyer wants to make a low offer, I told you some buyers will want a low ball. So here's a script that can be used if your buyer wants to make a low offer. Can I get somebody to read this script? I think we're on page 17. Anybody?
Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, there are 3 ways to negotiate a transaction. 1, you can make a low offer and run the risk of the seller rejecting it or countering back with a full price to compensate. 2, you can make an offer closer to the asking price and be less flexible if there's a counter offer. 3, if you really want this home and are concerned about another buyer may purchase it, you can make a full price offer and give the seller what they want. It's your choice. How would you like me to negotiate this offer?
This to me is probably a very, very, very good one for you all to learn, because you will have, again, people that want to make low offers, and they'll ask for the moon, but want to lowball the seller. So this is a very good script for you all to learn. There are 3 ways to negotiate a transaction. We can make a low offer, risk losing it. You can make an offer closer to the asking price and be a little less flexible if there's a counter. And you can really want this home, and let's make a strong offer. Pretty much is what you're saying. Okay, then once you've written the offer, you're going to present the offer to the listing agent. One of the first things you're going to do after you've written the offer and you've sent it to your buyer, or if your buyer's sitting in front of you, your buyer has signed it, you are now going to call the listing agent and let them know that your offer is coming, okay? Then once I send it, I call them or text them and I let them know I just sent it via dot loop, or I just emailed it to you, or whatever the case may be. You're going to request a reply within the shortest amount of time that your market will allow, and I believe 3 days. is what we normally do. If the seller counters, consult with your buyer to either accept the counter or re-counter the offer. So once the selling agent has gotten back with you and says, okay, my seller wants to counter your buyer's offer, you're immediately going to communicate that to the buyer. So any information that you get, you need to share with your buyer. You can't make the decisions for your buyer, even if they say, well, this is my bottom line and I don't want to go any higher than this or whatever. But still, whatever is communicated to you, I know that you told me that you're not willing to go above 135,000, but they're asking if you want to do 136, and I have to present it to you. Present everything back to your buyer. If you're representing the seller, you're going to receive the offer. You're going to gather information about the buyer. So just like as the buyer's agent, you're asking the seller's agent questions about the seller. As the seller's agent, you want to ask the buyer's agent about the buyer. You want to know, what information that you can gather to make it again a win-win situation for everybody as much as possible. So first, you're going to thank the buyer's agent for the offer. You're going to receive it, tell them thank you, and you're going to immediately, at the earliest convenience, present it to your seller. Okay. Gather information about the buyer. How long has the buyer been looking? Have they been pre-approved? I don't ever ask about how long they've been looking. That may be crucial, but I always do ask, have they been pre-approved? Do they have the earnest money on hand? Those kinds of things you do want to know. Is there a contingency for them to sell their other house first, or do they have a house that's on the market that we have to wait for them to sell that and close before they can sell this one? Before they can buy this one. And so those are just some questions. Again, you can look over those on page 19. I started to say channel 19, page 19, or on television. Checklist for reviewing an offer. You want to check the address to make sure it's the correct address. You want to check the price to make sure that the price that's on there is actually the price that they're really trying to offer. You want to check for the earnest money. Time for acceptance. In other words, are they giving you only 24 hours to respond, or are they giving you 3 days to respond? That makes a difference, because if they're only giving you 24 hours, time is of the essence. You need to get that information to your seller and have them get you a response as quickly as possible. So these are just some of the things that you want to go over if you're representing the seller. Okay, so page 20 is if you're representing the seller, these are some of the things that you want to look for in the offer. Okay, then you're going to present the offer. Once you've verified everything, you're going to present that offer to your client, and you're going to let them know to expect the offer. The offer is coming. We need to make a decision, especially if there's time frame. I'm sending you an offer now. We need to make a decision within 24 hours. So let me know, when you're available so we can go over it together. Okay, and then once they reach a decision, they're going to either accept, reject, or counter as always. Okay. We're going to skip that activity. And then responding to the offer. Once you and your client have made a decision on how to proceed based on the offer you have received, you will need to respond. Notify the buyer's agent of your seller's decision. If you're presenting a counter offer, prepare the document and then present it in person if possible. Request a reply within 24 to 48 hours or the shortest time customary for your market. If the buyer accepts the counter offer, have the buyer agent obtain his or her client's signature. Once both parties have signed the contract, retrieve it, the earnest money check, and the option check, if applicable, from the buyer's agent. The buyer agent may deliver the earnest money check to the closing company or put it into an escrow account. And we normally, like I said, if you represent the buyer, you're going to give it to Jill. She's going to put it in Keller Williams' account. We hold it until closing, and then the funds are transferred to the closing attorney. They credit the buyer back at closing. If your seller wants to present a counter offer to the buyer, then here's a quick script. Good morning, good afternoon, buyer agent. This is April with Keller Williams. Thank you for your offer. We appreciate it. It was quite a bit lower than what the seller had hoped for. Then you wait, see what they say, and they say, well, the sellers have come back with a reasonable counter offer that should work. The seller is countering back for 190,000. The rest of the terms in your offer are fine, except for he's not willing to leave the refrigerator. This is something that will work for everybody. Your buyer is getting a home within market. The seller is selling at a reasonable price, so we can all move forward to get this closed. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. Again, some scripts. Anybody have any conversation on the buyer or seller making and receiving offers either for the buyer or the seller side? So, okay, just know that we always want the way you respond or the way you react is going to kind of feed your buyer or your seller that you're working with. So if you keep an upbeat spirit and a positive attitude, then it's going to be easier for you to get them into a positive way of thinking. So even if they lowball the seller, they lowball your seller, don't call your seller and be like, we got an offer, but it's low. No, you'd be like, we got an offer, and you know, if you think it's negotiable, just be like, I want you to go ahead and look at it, let me know what you think, and then we can talk later. Once you talk with them, you can let them know if you want to negotiate it, let's negotiate it, you know, but you want to keep a positive attitude. You do not want to present your offers in a negative light. You always want to try to present it in as positive a light as you possibly can. Keller Williams core beliefs: win-win or no deal. Integrity, want to do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Communication, seek first to understand. That means you're listening, okay? You're not talking, you're listening. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty, and success results through people. And we're going to read over that one more time together. But, yeah, so we're at the end, yeah. So let's read this together. The win-win, the Keller Williams core beliefs. And I'll start, and everybody just read with me. Win-win or no deal. Integrity, okay? Everybody read it with me. Okay, if you all would unmute yourselves, and let's read this together on page 27. We're wrapping it up, and I just want everybody to read this one together, if you would, please. We're on page 27, the Keller Williams core beliefs. Okay, ready? Win-win or no deal.
Or no deal.
Integrity, the right thing.
The right thing.
Customers
always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to
understand.
Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork. Together everyone achieves more.
Trust
starts with honesty.
Success results through people. Important fundamentals in business, as well as within one's personal life, is the decision to not only make commitments, but to keep them. And that's a quote by Mo Anderson, who is the chairman of the board of Keller Williams. Okay, but this one here, they call it the WI4C2TS, or C2Ts. Anyway, but this is something that really, you know, Keller Williams really stands by, Gary Keller really stands by it. And I would encourage you to just read over it on a daily, maybe post it somewhere where you see it every day, because this is something that you want to really internalize. Win-win or no deal. That is very, very important. Are there any ahas, anything, anybody, any takeaways? I want everybody, if you don't mind, and I'm gonna call each one by name, if you would, I want you to think about one thing that you've learned either from today or so far this week in Ignite that you feel that you can start implementing now, okay? So I'm gonna start with you, Greg, if you don't mind. Oh, okay.
Just go ahead.
He said, my Lord. Yeah, just one thing that you feel you can start implementing now that is going to help your business.
Like the make sure you do the 10 phone calls, 10 leads, 10 things in your database. Once you talk to people, always ask questions, learn what they want, learn what they need.
Okay, so he said the one thing that he feels he can start right now, and he's gonna start today, well, he's already started, from our previous conversation with him, and that is adding 10 people to your database and making those 10 calls a day. And that definitely is going to help his business to grow, definitely, in building a relationship. Kimberly?
I feel like Tuesday with Sarah was the most beneficial for me. Like her actually showing us how to do the CMA and then the listing packets. So I already went home and got started on putting together presentations. That probably was the most helpful. Everything else was kind of just like review of previous knowledge in real estate.
Awesome. So she said that Tuesday session, actually putting together a listing presentation and everything was very beneficial for her. And she's already started working on that. And that is good because you want to have that listing presentation and your buyer consultation. You want to have those in hand as soon as possible. So, okay, thank you very much. Adicia, is there anything that what is one thing that you feel like you can take away from this week so far? You have one more session tomorrow, but what is one thing you feel you can take away and start implementing now in your business?
I think what stood out, regardless if you're representing the buyer or the seller, you always want to operate in integrity and to do right, and that'll benefit all parties. So I think that's the most important thing that I took away from today's lessons.
Awesome, thank you. So she's talking about the win-win, having a win-win attitude and making sure that you're working with integrity, doing the right thing, and trying to make sure that all parties walk away happy. Very good. Thank you, Adicia. Amanda? Angela's gone. She's missing. Amanda, is there one thing that you feel you can take away, that you've taken away from, that you can implement now into your business? Whether it's today or yesterday or today, Tuesday or Monday session? Okay, we're going Destin.
I feel like time blocking is going to be really crucial for me. Just staying organized and putting aside the time each day to actually do things that need to be done and staying on a schedule.
Right, awesome, very good. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for questions and answers. We actually have about 20 minutes, but if there's any questions and answers, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and answer those. And I know Kimberly wanted me to go back to.
Oh, never, I saw that session 11 and 12 is going to go over.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay. So are there any questions that you all have for me? Anything that you want me to review from today's lesson?
For those of us that don't have the packet, is this that you have on the screen available to us somewhere?
Yes, I'll go through and show you how to get to it. Let me see.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Do you have access to MyKW?
I do.
So if you go to mykw, .kw.com. Oh, I'm already logged in. Let me log out so you can, I want you to see the entire process. Okay. I'm gonna want to make sure that you're seeing every step. So I want to log out. Okay, so here we are, log in from here. And once you're here, you're going to go to education and you'll click on that. And I'll move this. You'll see the Ignite here. You click on that. And if you scroll to the bottom, it says student resources. And in here you'll have your manual. This is Power Session 1 manual. Okay, the Power Session 1 mission are the assignments that you're supposed to do prior to each class. But then the manual is going to actually be the booklet, and there's one for each session. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And also, at the bottom of this are some additional resources that you can click on in your pre-listing presentation, a buyer presentation, a buyer needs analysis. All of these things are available to you. Okay? Just opening that up just so you can see what it looks like.
Is there anywhere we can get a practice offer or something?
To do what now?
Like, as far as the offers, is there anywhere we could get like a practice one?
On Dotloop.
A practice offer?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if there's a practice offer.
Or any samples?
I would just go on, what I did for that, I just went on Dotloop and looked at the forms. And I had a family member, I just sent them, like, filled out what I was supposed to, and I sent it to them, like, just for practice.
Yeah,
Okay.
do you have access to Dotloop? Is that Angela?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask you about your one thing. I didn't even realize you were still there. I see, there's an arrow. What is your one thing that you can implement that you've gotten out of the sessions this week?
I like the idea of sending a buyer the different homes to look at and letting them choose which ones they want to look at. I think once my license comes and I do start working with potential buyers, then I will use that method to see how it works.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so for the for anybody that wants to look at some of the other like she said, a practice document, if you go into Dotloop, into the templates, you can go in and look at all of the different documents that we use for various situations. But the finance sales contract is the actual offer. So that's the document that you'll use to write up your offer. You go through that. You'll be able to get familiar with it. And I encourage you to do that. And again, those are things that you're going to get more detailed training in your further trainings. So, okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, I think Sarah's back with you all tomorrow. I enjoyed it. And I just hope you got something out of the sessions. Go through the manuals, those who have the manual, go through the manual. Those who don't, I just showed you how you can access it. So go through and read, do the activities. If you don't do anything else, at least go through and do the activities, because that's going to help you to get more comfortable. Also go through and read the scripts. There are scripts in there that you can get comfortable with and start using even now with your friends, your neighbors, your new vendors that you're going to be trying to secure. So I encourage you to go out there and do that. If there's no other questions, you all have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye. Much great.
I do want to try to use the lockbox on here.
Okay.